started as soon as I got married. I was teaching part-time in York, and I don't know how I heard of it even, but it was quite a different thing then. It was Meals on Wheels, and there were two of us, and we'd go around in a little green minivan, and we'd start about 11:30 and finish about 2. And then after a year we moved up to Dundee, and I thought, well, I'll just carry on the same. Wow, it would take us an hour at the most to get around. It was such a totally different ball game. But fun, because it was a rural one, so it wasn't the town anymore, and some of these houses were tucked away. There was one I was really frightened to go to. We called her Mrs. Tiggywinkle, and it was ages down a little crumbly path, and I was scared stiff that someone was going to jump me. They never did. I went to one with one of my elderly aunts, and when I went in, his table was laid, no sign of him. And I said, your dinner's here, your dinner's here. No answer, so we got back in the car. I did hear a bang in the woods, but I didn't. And I was driving away with my aunt, and she said, dear, you really ought to have made sure he was all right. And I said, oh, it'll be okay. She said, no, I really think you should go back. So you realise by now I'm a bit of a chicken. So I go back, and I go into the house, and I go into every room. Are you there, Mr. whatever? No, and I open the next door. Are you there, Mr. Every room downstairs, upstairs. Are you there, Mr. So? And I thought, well, he's not here. So I open the next door. He was lying in bed. I thought he was dead. He says, oh, I'm just having a wee lie-in. This was 1 o'clock, but I nearly fell out of my skin. So that was Meals on Wheels. The thing I enjoyed, which we didn't do much of, was the emergency team, which was set up in case there was a air crash. It stemmed from the bad flooding in Perth when they were not prepared. There was terrible flooding, and RVS had clothes like bikinis and things to offer to people, which was not very sensible. So they said Perth became a model for the rest of the country as how to cope with a real disaster. And things you have to know is, have you left a pet at home? Have you left the house unlocked? Are you on medication? Whatever. So one of the things we had was a DHS hotel in Dundee went on fire. And of course we'd no idea where the clients were they in the hotel? Were they not? So we then had to clock them in. Were they on medication? Did they need to go to the GP? But the other one, fire in Perth. At the time I couldn't raise enough helpers. People don't realise that an emergency doesn't happen at 2 o'clock on Thursday afternoon. It happens like that. So finally I got a friend, and I was in the bath, and it was about 11 o'clock at night. We went up to Perth. By the time we got there, all the residents were rehoused. So we had a lovely time till about 1 o'clock feeding the firemen and the policemen, and they were just gorgeous. So that was my only experience of real disasters. Right. So then was this last thing, and a friend said, they're doing this thing called Home from Hospital, and I think I'd like to do it. So I said, well, I don't think that's me. So I went with her, and it finished up with her saying, well, I'm not going to do this for sure. And I thought, this is absolutely what I want to do. So then, I don't know, it sounds really PI, but it's just nice to do things. I think to start with, it was the thought of doing something because I'm a Christian, and you want to do, well, ordinary people, anybody would do it because it's nice to do something for other people. But I tell you, I realise as you get older, first of all, you see your family needing help. As you get older, you realise I'm going to need that sometime. And also, these people are really lonely, and often they couldn't care less if you're taking them a meal or if you're doing their shopping or a cup of tea. They just need to talk, and they just need to reminisce, and it just really makes me sad to think how many lonely people there are, even in a town like Dundee where there's lots going on. They're just lonely, and I think that's at the root of it, actually.